Hey everybody, it's Jay, it's Nick. We are back from the Butt.
Yeah, and this is the first race since the passing of our friend and longtime Lemons racer Johan Samanta, so Judgmental at the Butt kicked off the whole event with this very fitting tribute.
A moment of silence is the most un-GDO man thing in all of the GDO man. So let's just have a moment of noise for Yo Man. Ready?
Now, longtime Lemons folks will remember our former timing and scoring head, Roland Hahn, the inventor of the AccuRoland 5000 weather prediction system. How did that work? Well, basically, Roland would just say every day, it's gonna rain, and occasionally it did. Once at Buttonwillow, where it never rains, by the way, he said to Jeff Glenn, our race manager, hey, what's this track like to drive in the rain? And Jeff said this.
Yeah, but guess what? After that, we moved the event 4 months later in the year, added some climate change, waited another 10 years, and the AccuRoland finally came through. It poured rain this year. Veteran Lemons people, hella shitty racing, they're made up of a lot of really smart engineering type dorks. And they figured the standard cool suit system of a giant igloo cooler with the hole cut in the side of it, a pump from an aquarium, and some tubing that goes in a t-shirt, all of that could be improved using science. And what better place to test it than the perennially scorching desert of the Butt? So they put together this thing. It's a lightweight contraption using a heat exchanger, an electric fan, it's electronically controlled thermostat, all this stuff. You could sell this thing to Porsche 911 track day dorks for like $47,000.
Yes, science!
But didn't you say that it actually rained this year?
Yeah, it was the coldest Buttonwillow ever.
Speaking of Porsche dorks, the Butt race this year was the same weekend as the Rennsport Reunion, which is, of course, a giant Porsche gathering to see who can take the most pictures of their watch uncomfortably holding a steering wheel that says Porsche on it and post it on Instagram in 30 seconds. Well, Dogecoin decided, hey, we don't want to do that, we're going to race our Porsche.
There were a few notable rookie teams at this race, including the Brokey Clips Buffoons, who unfortunately had an early exit. We hope to see them back soon.
And there was Push the Tempo in their Ford Tempo. They were pushing their tempo, either their radiator blew up or their engine blew up. I don't know what came first. But anyway, next year they say they're going to bring a V6 in this car. It's going to make it into a BMW M5.
Corvette Summer 2 isn't technically a rookie team, but their debut last year at Buttonwillow lasted not very long before their C4 Corvette blew up. This C4 Corvette, of course, is from a parallel universe where the movie Corvette Summer, starring Mark Hamill from Star Wars, was a huge hit, thereby necessitating a sequel called Corvette Summer 2 that replaced the C3 from Corvette Summer 1 with this car, the C4 Corvette Summer 2.
Speaking of Mark Hamill and Star Wars, these guys.
Excellent.
Here's a rookie team with a car that is not a rookie. This is Team YouTube Mechanics and the former Bodge Engineering Sterling 827 SL. It's always good to have a Sterling around to class up the joint.
Of course, we had a lot of returning veterans too, including Flog the Dead Horse, who were out there showing the rookies how to do it.
And here we've got a veteran team with a new car. This is Full Ass Racing. They usually run a Miata, and they figured, you know, our lives are just way too easy. Let's get ourselves a BMW 7 Series.
Yeah, what is all of that?
Speaking of mixing the old with new, Team Limonada and their Mustang, this is built by teenagers, but driven by adults. In no way is this a scam to, you know, soak up school resources and break child labor laws. Well, the car actually ran well enough to rack up a whole bunch of penalty laps for the adults, leading to this.
I'm doing it for the children.
You may remember the Dodge Neon with the Republic of Slowjamistan theme. If not, the Republic of Slowjamistan is a sovereign state created by a radio DJ. It's down there in Southern California. Slowjamistan has certain things that should be illegal elsewhere that are illegal in Slowjamistan, like Crocs, Mumble Rap. And they have their own national anthem. Who knew?
Country brings a smile to your face. Inside our nation, you are never alone. No, 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 no. It's Slowjamistan. Slowjamistan. Where I'm from, it is my home.
Speaking of the fine line between legal and illegal, here's Team Smoke E and the Bandit. They are sponsored by a cannabis dispensary, so Smoke E, right? Anyway, they took their Camaro and they converted it into a Firebird. What does that mean? Well, snowflake wheels, beak on the nose, and of course, Phoenix on the hood.
And on the subject of themes based on movies and TV, here's the MacGruber Miata.
Getting in and out of ultra-sticky situation. MacGruber! The guys are freaking genius! MacGruber!
Speaking of strange sponsorship, this team, Anal Probe Returns to Earth, subject of a Lemon's World, by the way. They've always leaned very heavily into the suggestive objects in their alien abduction theme, and they got sponsorship from an alien toy-themed sex store. A, yes, there is such a thing, and B, they got a 25% discount code, Lemons, by the way, where we checked this out. This actually works. I mean, we didn't buy the stuff, but we loaded up a cart, 25% off all your alien sex toys. You know, if the alien sex toy sex shop can figure out how to do a 25% discount code, you would certainly think that monstrous corporations like eBay Motors and Yokohama would be able to too.
Yes, well.
Now, it had been a long time since we had seen this car, and it was great to see them here at the Butt. This is Team Captain Scott and their E30-based Powell Motors Homer.
The Homer.
Now, this team goes all the way back to Altamont, and over the years, the team members, they've moved, they've started families, and Scott says this might be the last race for the Homer. So tell us in the comments, or tell Scott in the comments, why it shouldn't be the last race.
We had a great judging crew at this event. Jim Bauman, Judge Sean, Judgmental, and they came up with a lot of good penalties, including pin the butt on the Willow.
The Perplexus team brought us the actual Perplexus puzzle, and the judges took it and they made Black Flag miscreants solve it before they could get back out on track. Suffice it to say, Perplexus, not easy. One of our staffers, Christy, was celebrating her birthday at the race, so she got a birthday ride in the local Kern County fire truck. And she administered the one spank for every one of Christy's years penalties. Secretly, I think this guy wished that she was a lot older.
And we have the Happy Gilmore penalty, in which you need to film a recreation of the famous fight scene between Bob Barker and Happy Gilmore. Usually when we do something like this, here's what we get. We get like 120p resolution, blurry things, shot on a 10-year-old BlackBerry, and it arrives 5 years later. Not with Team Wheels of Misfortune. We got this by the end of the weekend.
We haven't seen Bears drive this badly since his last time here. He and Wheels of Misfortune are now dead lost at Buttonwillow.
I can't believe that you call yourself a racing driver. I bet you cheated in your driver's test. Only your driving was as slick as your head.
On to the awards. Judge's choice went to Colonel Angus.
Cunnilingus.
This team was registered for the last race at Sonoma, but at that event they showed up with this half-finished, completely stock Ford Focus. Didn't make it out onto track at all. Here at the Butt, they showed up with a fully finished, completely stock Ford Focus. Judge Mental pointed out this car didn't have much of a theme, but one of the team members went to the party supply store like the night before the race, got a bunch of stickers and a big pink tongue for the front of the car, stuck it all on, and that's way more effort than some of these BMW and Miata guys are putting into their themes. That, plus the redemption story from Sonoma, and the completely stock Ford Focus, that was more than enough for Judge's choice.
The I Got Screwed trophy went to Ranger Road. Ranger Road, as you know, I'm sure, it's this fantastic, super well-organized national veterans organization. They get veterans from all over take them to do exciting and fun and hopefully meaningful things. They've got this Mark V GTI, it's got hand controls, this car is spectacular. This time it would not run. Countless veterans have raced this car. It's been running great for years. The crew chief is Tim Tomas, who is probably the best Audi Volkswagen mechanic, tuner, engineer, I think, on the West Coast. He couldn't even make it run. Meanwhile, they had a 10-driver roster, including this poor guy Patrick, who came out from Alabama. He had flown out to crew at Thunderhill just to see if he wanted to move up to driver. And he said, oh yeah, hell yeah, I'm ready. He showed up for this, and the car, 9! So here you had it. Super well-organized national organization. Bunch of veterans who have already overcome amazing, unimaginable challenges, risen to the occasion. The best VW Audi tuner guy probably that we've ever seen, and they're all defeated by
Volkswagen, das Auto.
The battle for Heroic Fix really went down to the wire. First, let's talk about the first runner-up. This was Modelo Time Racing and their Acura RSX. Partway through Saturday, one of their front struts rapidly disassembled itself, putting the car into the dirt, the team out of the race. Some of the team hopped in the car to drive hours away for replacement parts. They came back, they realized, oh, some of this stuff's still missing, it must be out on the track. So at 3 a.m., they're out there with flashlights looking for bolts and strut plates and all of this stuff that they needed. They found it. They bodged it all back together and got back on track on Sunday.
But in the final accounting, that didn't quite eclipse Sorry for Party, the ultimate winner of the eBay Motors Heroic Fix Award. They showed up with a 3-car team, including their Fire Mara, which never runs very well, and a Pontiac Solstice, which didn't run very well when they were new, and this one continues not to. The Solstice, by the way, had a great Corey Dickman theme. Corey Dickman has been driving with us forever. He's driven spectacular stuff, El Camino SS. It just goes on and on and on into the background. That car theme was, don't be a dick, man, be a Dickman. And they had Corey's face on it, and everybody's dressed up like Corey, and Corey just thought that was hilarious.
He's a jolly good fellow, and nobody can deny. Don't be a dick, man. Don't be a dick, man. I built the cage for you. I'm not being a dick.
Now, the third car was a Porsche 944, and of course, the Porsche 944 is like bringing a Scud rocket to a knife fight if you're going for the Heroic Fix, because they're terrible. Well, normally this one actually runs pretty well. They've been successful with it, but guess what went wrong this time? Something to do with the transaxle. Still, totally worth it for 50-50 weight distribution.
So they had a spare rear transaxle for a 944 in LA, so they sent a team member to go get that in the middle of the night on Saturday. In the meantime, they started disassembling the car. About halfway through, they realized the problem wasn't the transmission itself, it was rather the splines in the torque tube. So they called the teammate and they said, oh dude, I know you've been driving for 2 hours, but turn around, we don't need that transmission. He did that, and then the SUV blew a tire, and then he snapped the lug wrench, and then they had to send another team member to go rescue him.
Now, it turns out that Buttonwillow actually has a shop on site that specializes in Porsche 944 parts. Well, somebody Sunday morning said, wait a minute, why don't we just ask them if they have something? And they did. So thus started a mad dash to get that car back together, at least in time to get one more lap before the end of the day Sunday. Once they started thrashing, somebody on the team told us their chances were right between 50-50 and
nothing! Absolutely nothing!
With literally minutes left before the checkered flag, they got the car backed out of the garage, they headed to the track, and there was this horrible clang noise. Turns out they left the breaker bar still attached to the crank pulley at the front of the motor. Forgot to take that out. Somebody ran over, pulled it out. The pulley broke off with it. I think there was a belt attached. It was a complete disaster. They gave the driver the only instructions they could in that situation. They did indeed get it onto the track, and that was heroic.
The special award went to Team SoCal Vintage Trailer. This is a true family team. Mom, dad, daughter, son. The daughter, Ryan, she's studying motorsports engineering at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, or as the locals call it, ooey pooey. Well, she was chatting with her motorsports engineering classmates, and the subject turned to the real 24 Hours of Le Mans, and someone said, hey, yeah, where is that? They Googled it, and they said, holy crap, it's in Michigan. I think what happened was, this was one of those situations where 24 Hours of Lemons is actually a higher Google search result than the 24 Hours of Le Mans, but in any case, this planted the seed.
So Ryan told her family, who are all based in Southern California, and they decided to put together a BMW E90. And before you go like this, $500 my ass, bear in mind, BMW E90 also was hit by a tree. To be fair, this car actually looked pretty good, and between that and a bunch of fresh-faced college kids, it just screamed, we are noobs. That did not last very long. I mean, for one thing, they quickly wrapped up a bunch of black flags, and the judge relished giving them the Bob Ross penalty to mar their perfect green paint job. Then they got T-boned by the Mustang 2 King Cobra. That didn't make it look a whole lot better either.
They took all of this in stride, and by the end of the race, they no longer had that wide-eyed first-timer look, and instead had that our BMW has Bob Ross on the trunk and King Cobra Mustang 2 damage on the door look. That's the look of a seasoned Lemons veteran, and for that, we gave them a special award called
Welcome to the party, pal!
And then they emailed us after the race to say that their tow vehicle had also blown up on the way home.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother...
Speaking of Mustang 2 King Cobras, that car was also our organizer's choice, and not just for indiscriminately ramming bright green BMWs, although we approve of that as well. What we really liked was their spot-on Charlie's Angels theme, or in this case, Charlie's Devils. They did a little role reversal. All the Angels were dudes. Bosley was played by the one female member on the team. They had great outfits. They had the speakerphone to talk to Charlie. And of course, they had an awesome car, including T-tops. Because if you don't have T-tops, you really don't have anything.
The LA firefighters from Team Backdraft Brigade were back. This time they had a new Mazda, more fun firefighter-y toys, and just non-stop antics that all added up to them winning the Halloween Meets Gasoline prize. $1,000 for the best antics.
They brought the jaws of life, and they let us play with it.
I am all that is man!
They built a full bar in the paddock with free beer for everyone. Free beer! Their post-checkered flag happy hour on Saturday got interrupted by a real call, even though their Mazda wasn't running. And of course, they rescued a cat from a tree. As you know, the Halloween Meets Gasoline prize is not easy to win. You gotta have the best theme, you gotta have the best costumes, you gotta be in theme all weekend long, or it turns out, sometimes you can just do your job.
Sometimes a car will show up at a Lemons race and you think, well, there's your Index of Effluency winner. And you may think that with this IOE winner, Argonaut's Awful Space and the 56 Nash Metropolitan. Now, while it's true that a car like a 56 Nash has a running start in the IOE race, you do have to show some performance to actually bring home that trophy. In fact, this is the third race for this very Nash, and in the previous two races, we said, man, if that thing does 10 laps, it's the IOE. But it never did. Combined in those first two events, it maybe did 10 feet. Before this race, the car did change hands from its original team to Lemons veterans Argonaut's Awful Space. Now, this is the team from the Argonaut Garage Repair Shop in Berkeley. They brought 3 cars to the butt: a Miata, Toyota Yaris, and the Nash Metropolitan. The Nash, since it was going to be driven by Lemons legend Neil Losi, was given the fresh Neil-Opolitan theme, complete with a new paint job, whipped cream with cherry on top, and free ice cream for everybody in the paddock. So, did it perform? Boy, did it ever! At one point, it was the top car within its own team with more laps completed than either the Yaris or the Miata, and in the final results, it finished higher than the green BMW E90, the Modelo Time Acura RSX, the Sorry for Party Fire Marrow and the 944, Colonel Angus,
Cunnilingus,
and Corvette Summer 2. Truly one of the great all-time IOE performances.
And here's Lemons in a nutshell.
I discovered that my Porsche...
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, Another Vega is sent to the Crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?